Washington Township Minutemen. On their white chessmen with a record of 13-0. Take on Passaic Tech Bulldogs with a record of 10 wins and 3 losses, coached by Matt Delores.
Congratulations on being in the final. It's an honor and a privilege for us to officiate your game. So good luck to both teams today, all right? You're the visitor today. I have a flag on this side, a football on this side. Which would you choose? Flag it is. It's a football. You've won the toss. You want to defer to the second half.
Right?
I had started. Yeah. And the wind.
At this moment, we ask that you please rise. Please remember to remove your hats as we honor America and those who protect us with the flag of our national anthem.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome here to MetLife Stadium, the setting for the 2025 Group 5 State Football Championship, as it's a matchup featuring the Passaic Tech Bulldogs and the Washington Township Minutemen. Hello, everybody, and welcome inside the broadcast booth here at MetLife Stadium. I'm Dan Long, joined alongside by my compatriot Andrew Daly and Coach. We've already crowned one state champion here today, and now we get to the largest designation and classification in the public school ranks as Washington Township tries to go for immortality and complete this perfect season.
Yeah, absolutely. Washington Township comes in here undefeated, 13-0 record, making the trip up from South Jersey. But as you can see here on the screen, they're playing a very formidable Passaic County Tech program who's no slouch themselves.
Passaic Tech is playing their best football of the season as they found their way back into a Group 5 final for the second time, or the third time, I should say, overall in history, looking to bring home their first championship win. Washington Township, a perfect 13-0 on the season, and they've had some lopsided victories on their road to MetLife, trying to cap off this season with a Group 5 title. And we are underway here from MetLife Stadium. Settle in and enjoy all the action exclusively here on NJ.com. Sunny weather here for our second of 4 state championships 41 degrees, windy, as we saw that be a bit of a factor in the first game. And now we'll see what happens here as Washington Township will be starting on offense. This Minutemen offense averaging 38.8 points per game, and they are led by their exceptional quarterback, the senior Cole Aquino. Aquino is the one that has thrown for 22 touchdown passes this season. 4 interceptions, completes coach 70% of his throws. We'll see if he keeps that accuracy going here, and that's a good downhill run on the first play of the game for Colin Beeler.
Yeah, Keno, you mentioned, very efficient with the football, has been all year. Great touchdown to interception ratio. One of the big things I look for as a coach when I'm evaluating quarterbacks is, what's that touchdown to interception ratio look like? Does he do a good job of protecting the ball? And Aquino does just that. Helps
to have Beeler, who's coming up on 1,200 rushing yards on the season, trying to sidestep a defender that time, but it gets taken down by Michael Morrow, the senior outside linebacker with 127 stops to his name this season for Passaic Tech.
Yeah, talking to Coach Schatzman earlier in the week about, this Passaic Tech team, really, really impressed with number 0, Michael Morrow. He said they got to really be aware of where he's at on the field at all times.
Passaic Tech did not make the state championship round last year. Union City defeated them in the sectional final, but the 2 years prior they had made it to the finals and lost to Toms River North. We are assured this year of a new Group 5 state champion after the Mariners were knocked off earlier this postseason. And look at that rugby scrum that ensued, and pushing the pile, Washington Township wills their way to a first down.
Yeah, and that's a wrinkle the Township put in this year with big number 9 back there, Andrew Osborne, who also doubles as a defensive end / edge rusher. They put him back at running back too, and with a 230-pound frame, he's really been tough to bring down and has done a good job for that Washington Township offense all season long.
Osborne 365 yards rushing, 8 rushing touchdowns on the year. Now they try to throw the ball to the outside, and trying to slither their way through the grasp of a couple of defenders was Darian Joyner, number 12, the 5'8 senior wideout.
Yeah, Joyner had himself a big game last week against Kingway, pulling in a couple touchdowns. This Washington Township offense is going to try and go quick. Keep the defense on their toes and take advantage of what they're given to them.
Second down and 4 as we're coming up on 2 minutes gone by in the beginning of this first quarter of this Group 5 state championship. Washington Township handing it off this time, and again sidestepping a couple of defenders, pushing the pile. Look at the leg drive. Out inside the Passaic Tech 45-yard line all the way down for a first down.
You can see the replay here. Who's that number? I can't even make out who that is.
Looked like it might have been Jalen Robinson.
Yeah, number 10, Jalen Robinson, just getting the ugly yards, tough yards, keeps his leg moving. And Robinson coming into this one, 465 yards and 9 touchdowns on the year. Really dynamic backfield for Washington Township.
Already 3 different ball carriers. There goes Robinson again, right up the gut. Now, in the previous years, Passaic Tech punched their ticket to the finals based on their defense. Not so this year. Look at their sectional championship against West Orange. They had to win a shootout, coach, 56-42. So this is not a big surprise that maybe Washington Township having its way offensively in the early goings.
Yeah, Washington Township, too, has done, they've been successful offensively as well, and they've had a couple of shootouts themselves. So it'll be interesting to see if it's an offensive battle today.
Second down and 3, up the middle. There goes Beeler again, and he breaks through a couple of would-be arm tackles. And right now, there's not much resistance being put up by Passaic Tech on defense.
Yeah, like you said, Washington Township, they want to go fast and keep these guys on their toes, and that's exactly what they're doing. And they're utilizing that run game. There's three-headed monster. You're not going to see a whole lot of movement out of Aquino, but when they let him spin it, that's another dynamic to this game, their offense that you got to worry about.
They average 244 yards on the ground per game. And they are imposing their will early on here in this state final, as that's one of the rare short gains so far in this opening drive for Beeler and company. The Minutemen defeated Kingsway in the Group 5 state semifinals 35-27 to make their first all-time appearance here at MetLife Stadium. They're averaging close to 40 points per game in the postseason.
Yeah, really tough, hard-fought battle last week against Kingsway, and Kingsway is a formidable program in their own right.
Second down and 8 after the 2-yard pickup on first down. Aquino will hand it off to the near side, breaking the tackle again and breaking space down the near side, trying to jump His way into the end zone was Andrew Osborne. So Osborne moves the sticks, and it's going to be 1st and goal for Washington Township.
Yeah, it's tough to defend these running backs when you have so many different personalities back there. You got Osborne as the big bruiser, and then you got Beeler and Robinson back there as your speed and shifty backs. Osborne doing a great job of putting his foot in the ground and getting upfield and picking up big-time yardage for the Minutemen.
A three-headed monster right now, a tailback here for Aquino and company. 1st and goal at the Passaic Tech 3-yard line. It'll be a handoff to Osborne to the right side, gets his legs taken out, and now there's also going to be a late penalty flag thrown from out of the end zone.
My timeout for equipment repair.
Brand Delaney is our referee for this Group 5 state championship, as he'll also talk things over with members of his crew because there was some yellow laundry on the field, in addition to the equipment repair.
Blocking below the waist, number 45, White, will still be 1st down. 10-yard penalty.
So a big penalty there against Washington Township.
Yeah, block below the waist. You heard it there, and Ray McFall on the call there for tight end for Township. Didn't quite see the penalty, but I believe it. Hey, if they called it, it must have happened then, right, partner?
They threw it right away in the back of the end zone, so somebody obviously had a good vantage point of where that illegal block occurred.
Yeah.
That'll back them up a little bit here. Last season, the Minutemen had their season come to an end in the Group 5 semifinals against Toms River North. Toms River North won 3 consecutive Group 5 finals. They will not be kings for another season. So that's going to be a handoff to the left side of Passaic Tech, trying to bow their backs here, making a stop on 1st and goal from the 15.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see maybe something quick or some kind of screen pass out to one of the receivers for Washington Township here. Second, we got 3 downs here to kind of get in the end zone.
Passaic Tech giving up 18.4 points per game this season, allowing 16 points per game during the postseason. 2nd and goal now for Washington Township from the 13. They're trying to go with a little jet motion, a joiner on the far side, but once again met with a penalty flag.
Dead ball, full start against the offense. Repeat, 2nd down.
So the Minutemen going backwards with penalties here once they got it inside the 10-yard line. 2 head coaches today. Mike Schatzman in his 8th season at the helm of the Washington Township program. 51 wins. Led them to their first ever appearance. And then on that sideline, it's Matt Demarest in his 14th season at the helm of the Passaic Tech program. 114 all-time wins for Coach Demarest, already making his 3rd appearance in a Group 5 final. 2nd and goal from the 19-yard line. Aquino will look to throw, throws it on the run to the far side, completes it. That'll make it much more manageable of a 3rd and goal as he completes that pass to Paris Pratt, his leading wide receiving target on the season.
Yeah, Pratt's going to be their leading guy out there on the edge, on the perimeter for the receiving corps for Washington Township. 495 yards, 6 touchdowns this season. As you can see, though, unlike the first game where the wind was coming in gusts, it's more of a sustained wind down there right now. So it's really going to be interesting if Passaic Tech can force a 4th down to see what they're going to do when it comes to the special teams.
3rd and goal from the 9, showing that they can throw and not just pound it down on the ground. So Aquino will set up 3 wide receivers to the bottom of the screen. Quick pass off to the near side, and that is hauled in and around the 10-yard line, but nothing doing. Joyner caught it with all of his momentum, trying to shift back more to the top side of the sideline, but there was no opening there, and now it's going to be 4th down.
Yeah, really good job by Passaic County to swallow that play up and not allow anything positive there for Washington Township. Now they're going to try a field goal in this swirling wind, so it'll be interesting to see.
Luke Sheets, who's 8 of 9 on the season, will attempt this kick. 27-yard kick. The kick is up, and the field goal is good. With 5:59 left to go here in the first quarter of play, Washington Township, with that long, methodical drive, they do come away with 3. They would have loved 7, well, they'll take the 3. And for Passaic Tech, you have to feel like that's a bit of a win for your defense.
Yeah, a little moral victory there. The way Washington Township was driving right down the field with their run game, Passaic Tech's got to be happy with only giving up 3 points. A couple costly penalties there deep in the red zone. Not going to be something that Coach Schatzman is happy about with his offensive unit.
From the opening kickoff to the end of the season, NJ.com's award-winning staff of reporters and photojournalists put you in the middle of the action for in-depth coverage of this game and other championship games, including photo galleries, recaps, and stats. Be sure to visit NJ.com/HSSports. 6 minutes and 1 second. That's how long that opening drive lasted for Washington Township. We're trying to finish 14-0 on the season as the wind blows it off the kicking tee before we could resume play. Beginning this season, but Passaic Tech's defense gave up 72 points over their first 2 games. In back-to-back losses against Burlington Township and West Orange, they have righted the ship here to kind of settle down. It's kind of like emblematic of what just happened. They were giving up big yardage, but then they settled down and eventually, with the help of some costly penalties, were able to just give up the 3.
Yeah, bend don't break type style for Passaic Tech all season pretty much. Like you said, started off with 2 losses and then able to rally back and find their way here on the last day of the season.
So Passaic Tech on your screen there in the home black uniforms with the white numerals will have their offense check out of the field. And this has been an offensive side that has become explosive under the guidance of their senior quarterback, Gabe Miles. Miles has thrown for 1,346 yards through the air, 15 touchdowns, also has added 8 rushing touchdowns to his name, averaging 34.6 points per game. And they will break it to the far side with Kadir Young, and Young gets tripped up in the play behind the line of scrimmage for a loss of 2, and that's a big stop, seeing that Young is approaching 1,500 rushing yards on the season.
Yeah, if Washington Township is going to have success here, they're going to have to be able to bottle up Young out of the backfield for Passaic Tech. This guy's coming in with 1,500 yards and 17 touchdowns. That's the guy they want to get the ball to as many possible ways as they can. If Washington Township can continue to set the edge like they just did on the first play, they'll be in good shape.
Loss of 1, 2nd down and 11 for Passaic Tech at their own 19-yard line. Opening possession of the game for the Bulldogs after a long, methodical drive on offense for Washington Township. And it looks like a little pointing going on, and that's normally a false start penalty.
Dead ball, false start, offense, 2nd down.
So penalties playing a part in the early goings of this contest. We saw that kind of short circuit what could have been a touchdown drive for Township on their opening offensive possession, and now a penalty against Passaic Tech, and the Bulldogs face a 2nd down and 16 against a defense that only gives up 10.9 points per game. Miles back to pass, sets up the wide receiver screen play to the middle of the field as that pass is hauled in by Ian McDuffie. McDuffie, 521 receiving yards, 25th catch of the year there, and that sets up a 3rd down.
Yeah, like you were saying, too, in games of this magnitude, sometimes it's the team that, commits the least amount of mistakes that's successful. And so far, for Washington Township, you saw 2 costly penalties. You saw a penalty there for Passaic Tech. They're able to get a little bit back there on 3rd down, but still a 3rd and long situation here.
3rd down and 9, trying to avoid a 3 now to start this championship game. Passaic Tech fires across the middle, has the man. Nice catch there, and the yards after the reception, enough for the 1st down. That was all individual effort there by number 13, Tyson Watkins.
Great job here by Miles, the quarterback, just kind of waiting for Watkins to come open across the middle of the field. Does a great job dumping it off to him, and Watkins is able to do the rest, pick up the 1st down, and a little stare down of the defensive player there for good measure.
Watkins did a great job there, Coach, of making the catch when it looked like the throw was a little behind him as well. Now we're going to see the running exploits of the quarterback, Gabe Miles, as Miles is going to be met initially there by Isaac Parra, number 21.
A nice stick there by Parra, and if the this Passaic Tech offense wants to get going too. You know, you keep Miles as a dual threat quarterback. You got to be able to have that wrinkle in your offense. If Township's able to shut that down, it really is going to make Passaic Tech a little bit more one-dimensional.
4-yard pickup there by Miles sets up a 2nd down and 6 for Passaic County Tech at their own 37. Here's a handoff and a nice run up the middle, putting in the spin cycle a couple of defenders. Kadir Young will lunge forward and pick up extra yardage, good enough for a 1st down to the 45-yard line. And already you could see the physicality on display between both teams as they're getting at it here in the Group 5 final.
Yeah, these guys are getting after each other. Emotions are high down there. Township looking for their first state championship ever, but man, this running back, Kadir Young, he put his foot in the ground and got upfield, made a couple guys miss. Really impressive here in the early going.
155 rushing yard performance and 3 touchdowns in a semifinal win against Bridgewater Raritan a week ago for Young. 1st down and 10 for Passaic Tech, close to midfield now at the 45-yard line. Here's Young again, and he's going to be spun down and brought down for the loss, that time by Andrew Osborne. Osborne, who we already mentioned on the telecast with his exploits as a running back, not too shabby also as a linebacker, 53 tackles on the season.
Yeah, that's where Osborne's, making the most of his money is on the defensive side of the ball for sure. They do a good job there. They had a little counter play there with 2 pulling offensive linemen. Osborne doing a good job sniffing it out and able to make the tackle.
2nd down and 8 now for Passaic Tech at their own 47. Little pop pass that time. That's going to go to Ahmad Williams on the far side, and Williams falling forward, and a little bit of a cleanup there by some of the linemen. And Passaic Tech is closing in on another 1st down and now crossing midfield into Washington Township territory.
Yeah, it's a nice play there, and we ran this play down at Gateway when I run it. We call it cheesy. You know why? Because it's a cheesy way for the quarterback to get passing yardage. Quarterbacks love to toss it in front of them and let the receivers run and pick up those passing yards.
That's why you're going to get the Christmas cards from your quarterbacks, Coach. You're giving them the easy yardage there. 3rd down and 1. Coming up here for Passaic Tech. Trying to convert. It's going to be a quarterback run play to the right side. They needed 1. They picked up about 2. And that'll be enough for a Bulldog 1st down. So after converting on their first 3rd down conversion, Passaic Tech has grown in confidence here in this opening drive against one of the more formidable defensive units in all of New Jersey football.
Yeah, they're doing well. Passaic Tech is doing a good job of moving the ball. You had mentioned it earlier about this possibly being an offensive ball game. Right now we're seeing these 2 offenses move the ball on each other. Now it's all going to come down to can any one of these teams finish? And, like you said, it goes back to our conversation about playing mistake-free football.
As we're closing in already on the final minute of a really fast play in 1st quarter of play here at MetLife. 1st down and 10. Stopping on a dime, trying to bounce it to the near side, but in doing so cost himself some yardage as Miles was taken down behind the line of scrimmage by Ethan Binder.
Good play there by Binder. You see Miles kind of looking for a hole, nowhere to go with it, and winds up losing yardage. Nice tackle for loss there for Binder. And, yeah, like you said, this is a absolutely lightning-fast 1st quarter.
Gabe Miles came into this game, Coach, for his career. 1,040 yards rushing, 18 rushing touchdowns. So he is a clear dual threat as a passer and a runner in charge of this Passaic Tech offense. 2nd down and 12. Might be the final play of the 1st quarter. Drop-off pass is to Young to the far side. Young is dangerous in the open field. And he's going to be tethered to the defensive work there on the outside by Washington Township, as it looked like Jalen Robinson was the one who was latched onto him and making sure that there was going to be no additional yards after the reception. And that will end a 1st quarter that was here and gone in the blink of an eye, almost like Black Friday sales. It's 3-0, the lead for Washington Township after 1, as we're heading to the start of the 2nd quarter here on NJ.com. Back here in MetLife Stadium. Dan Long, Andrew Daly, so glad that you could join us here on NJ.com. Washington Township ranked number 6 in our NJ.com top 20, on top of Passaic Tech by a score of 3-0. Each team has only possessed it once so far in this game. Long sustained drives for both offenses. Starting off, it's 3rd down and 8 for Passaic Tech to begin the quarter, and it's a nice drop-off pass by Miles, has a man in the open field, and it's Watkins. Miles looked like he might have been threatening to think about tucking it down and running with it, but he did a great job of surveying the defense and finding his wide receiver open.
Yeah, Miles does a great job here. He doesn't see his first target, and he's able to, make something, extend the play a little bit with his legs and find Watkins coming across the middle of the field. If Passaic Tech can find those open receivers underneath underneath the Washington Township secondary, they're going to be in business here for the rest of this drive.
That's the second 3rd down conversion on this long drive that was made on a pass to Watkins. He's been clutch. This time it's Kadir Young to the left side. Ray McFall, number 45, was a little slow to get to his feet, was the one who was credited with the tackle. McFall, a 5'11",
for injury.
195-pound senior linebacker, came into this game with 65 stops on the season. Got dinged up there trying to stop the advance of Kadir Young. So an injury timeout with just over 11 minutes left to go here in the second quarter. And a 3-0 lead, but Passaic Tech is marching their way methodically down the field here, Andrew, a drive that started way back at their own 20.
Yeah, like I was saying, a minute ago here, Township does a good job in secondary of covering receivers on the intermediate and vertical routes. Where they're a little susceptible is where you're seeing Passaic Tech start to expose that a little bit, is moving the quarterback a little bit, receivers finding that open hole and just kind of losing track of those receivers is what those corners and perimeter players are doing. And Passaic Tech is doing a great job of exposing that.
Washington Township having one of the better defenses in the Garden State, a defense that has led to offense plenty times so far this season. They produced 7 defensive touchdowns, 6 fumble recoveries for a score, 1 interception for a touchdown. So this is a side that if you make that mistake, not only is it going to cost you possession, it might cost you points on the scoreboard.
Yeah, and I talk about it all the time. When you're talking to a coach, Coach Schatzman, whoever it might be, the favorite points on the field are points off of turnovers. And Washington Township does a great job of creating points off of turnovers and not just creating the turnovers, but making them matter.
As you can see, Ray McFall is the one being helped off the field, and hopefully he will be back on the field shortly. He's one of those keys in the middle of the linebacking unit. He had 11 tackles last week in the win against Kingsway in the state semis.
That's a big loss for the Township defense and offense, too, as a blocker.
2nd down and 7 after the 3-yard pickup on 1st down by Young before the injury. Ball at the Township 20-yard line. Here's going to be a quick pass to the outside. This is where Passaic Tech is dangerous in the open field. Great job of recovery defense that time by Washington Township, but then Jair Moore, who made the tackle, had a late push out of bounds, and that will elicit a penalty flag.
Yeah, Passaic Tech is going to get yards that they didn't really deserve, but Washington Township, again, comes back to who's going to make the least amount of mistakes, and just a really late hit there out of bounds. And
is this where it's the tough play, Coach? You're in a state final.
I mean, it's just not necessary here for that.
There's no machismo needed here.
Yeah, no.
You've made the play. It's probably going to be a 3rd down and about 3 upcoming.
Yeah.
Holding, number 16 of Passaic County Tech. Dead ball, late hit out of bounds, unnecessary roughness, number 2 of Washington Township. We will penalize both fouls.
So offsetting fouls there between those two teams, but again, those are the type of mistakes that you just can't afford to have in a game that has a feeling like it's going to be a close affair. You got to know, especially you're playing at an NFL facility. It's clearly designated the sidelines. You know where the white is, and you know when you got to wrap up and let it go.
Yeah, tough. Like I said, emotions are high. Tough penalty to take there, but it doesn't wind up hurting too much because they actually assessed both fouls.
So it will end up with a 3rd down and short. It's right now third down. Now they're going to change the down marker to second down and short. Here's a pass across the middle. Passaic Tech, touchdown! They've been victimizing Washington Township all drive long, once again getting in the hands of Tyson Watkins.
Great play action here. You'll see Miles goes back, and it looks like he's going to hand it off, but play action instead. And like you said, they found Watkins about 3 times this drive over the middle, and Washington Township's going to have to come up with some kind of stop for Watkins over the middle.
All sorts of chaos on that play, including the down marker being flipped to 2 rather than 3 for the majority of the time. So it was actually a second down and short. But it did not face Passaic Tech at all, as that's going to be a touchdown pass. Gabe Miles' 16th touchdown pass of the season. Tyson Watkins hauls in his 8th score. Looks like some pre-snap movement against Washington Township, so more penalty flags, which has been a recurring thing here in the first half. A lot of face time for Fran Delaney.
All right. Encouragement on the defense. Half the distance, replay the try.
If there was ever an old school stereotypical referee in football, I think it's Fran Delaney. I think central casting.
Yes, I was just going to say that because I'm laughing. It's just prototypical. But talk about a drive, man. Gabe Miles, 4 for 4, 44 yards and a touchdown.
And it looks like Passaic Tech, because of the defensive penalty, have elected to keep their offense on the field to go for 2. Why not from the 1-yard line? Miles will run with it to the far side, and Miles is going to get upended on the play. No chance whatsoever of converting there in the 2-point try. They'll settle for 6. But Passaic Tech still emerges with their first lead of the state final as we take a look again at the conversion.
Yeah, if I'm Passaic Tech, I wouldn't try and steal too many points from Washington Township because they're not going to give them to you. They're stingy, and right there I might have considered kicking the extra point, but Coach Demer had different thoughts, and Washington Township able to keep them out and hold them to 6.
This is a Washington Township defense that have produced 5 shutouts this fall and have held 7 of their 13 opponents to single digits. But they surrender a long, time-consuming and yardage-consuming touchdown drive, an 80-yard drive orchestrated there by Passaic Tech with a plethora of third-down conversions.
Yeah, it's exactly what Tech needed in order to make a statement in this game and say, hey, you guys aren't just going to come in here and roll us. We're here too, and we're here for a reason. And they've established that, and we got ourselves a ball game, a hard-hitting Group 5 championship game here.
They're trying to be the second team from the town of Wayne to win a state championship here today in our first game of the day. DePaul Catholic was victorious in the 2025 non-public B state championship over Paramus Catholic 21-12. This is title game number 2 for the Group 5 public school championship ranks. Washington Township with a nice return out to the near side, out past their own 35-yard line, trying to find their way to a dream season, a 14-0 record, and try to become the second team other than Toms River North to ever capture a Group 5 championship. Toms River North won the first 2 state titles once they went to Group state championships over Passaic Tech, and then last year defeated Union City.
Yeah, really talented team. I remember that game. A lot of those Toms River North guys went on to play in college.
You have a 2-time reigning state player of the year in Micah Ford leading the charge. You're always going to feel like you could win a state title, and that's what they did. Passaic Tech now trying to defend against this passing play across the middle of the field as that pass is completed to Pratt.
Yeah, I was going to say, be ready for Coach Schatzman to open up the playbook a little bit on the second drive here now and kind of get his guys into a rhythm out on the perimeter. Those guys between Pratt and Weiser and Joyner and that receiving core, too talented.
Second down and 1 after the 9-yard pickup through the air on first down. And moving the pile out to around midfield and past midfield into Passaic Tech territory. That's going to be good enough for a Minuteman first down. That opening drive, it looked like it was destined for a touchdown drive, but it was penalties that were the undoing for the Minutemen.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you said, they were almost moving the ball at will on the ground all the way down to the red zone and shot themselves in the foot a couple times with some penalties down there.
First down and 10 at midfield. Be a handoff to the right side. Beeler trying to reverse path off to the near side hash. as he's going to be tackled on the play, but not before he picks up a nice chunk of yardage.
Yeah, nice pickup there from Bueller. He actually gets tackled by his own guy. You'll see here as you're looking through the replay, the offensive lineman there kind of standing around looking for work, and Bueller says, excuse me, I got somewhere to go.
Rodgers going for the piggyback ride, eventually brought him down. Low snap, Aquino now runs with it to the far side, and he'll be brought down. He'll pick up a couple of yards on the play. It'll set up about a 3rd down and 1 just outside the Passaic Tech 40.
Yeah, and Aquino here, a little trouble with the snap, and he's forced out to his right, and the receiver Joyner doesn't see that he's rolling. He's just continuing on his route downfield. Whereas if he was able to see that Aquino was forced out due to pressure, he would have been able to break that route off and maybe come back towards the sideline and give Aquino a shot to complete a pass to him.
Washington Township sideline looking on this 3rd down and 1 handoff, and that time snuffing it out and making the play on 3rd down and 1 was Passaic Tech with the handoff to Osborne. Great anticipation there by the defense. That brings up a 4th and 1.
Yeah, you don't see too often of Osborne getting stopped for minimal yardage, but it looks like they're going to go line up and do something again.
4th and 1, it's going to be a quarterback keeper play, and he was stuffed in the back of the line of scrimmage. There's also a penalty, and it looks like it's going to be a defensive penalty.
Encroachment against the defense. It will result in the first play. First down.
So when Passaic Tech thought they had done enough to stuff inside in the 4th down and 1 quarterback keeper, it was actually an encroachment penalty. Someone had lined up in the neutral zone. That is just a big no-no.
Yeah, just unfortunate situation there for Passaic Tech. Thought you had a big play, turnover on downs on 4th down, and give new life to this Washington Township offense.
Fresh set of downs now for the Minutemen. 1st down and 10 at the Passaic Tech 36-yard line. 6-3 lead for Passaic Tech, trying to orchestrate an upset here in the Group 5 final. And there's a lot of penalties here in this first half.
Dead ball, false start. Number 8, Washington Township. 5-yard penalty, still first down.
I think at this rate, we're going to have Fran Delaney getting more airtime than the two of us combined in this broadcast.
I'll tell you what, just a really sloppy start to this one from a penalty standpoint, but starting behind the sticks is not a good place for you. If you're Washington Township, you want to be in front of the sticks, stay on track, average, 4. You would like to see them averaging 4 yards a carry if you're a coach, 4 yards a play. If you're a coach, that'll always equal a first down for you, but Township not able to do that so far.
1st down and 15 back at the Passaic Tech 40. Aquino will hand it off to the far side, and again, Passaic Tech is waiting that time. When Osborne has gotten the handoff now the last 2 times, they've been ready for when that play has been run.
Now, I'm not sure if there's some communication issues or what, but there's just a couple Washington Township players just standing around there that literally didn't come off the line of scrimmage. So I don't know if they didn't know the snap count or couldn't hear it or what it might be, but some confusion, it seems like, within the offense.
Another tackle there for number 52, Jeremiah Rodgers. 2nd down and 15. Once again, they go to Osborne, and Osborne wills his way forward. He'll get that penalty yardage back and 1, so it's going to be a 6-yard pickup, and it's going to bring up a 3rd down and 9.
And if I'm Passaic Tech here, the situation here, it's 3rd and long. They got to probably have to throw the ball here. You can give them a little bit of cushion, but you don't want to give them too much to where they're going to just be able to pick up this first down on you.
3rd down and 9 at the Passaic Tech 34-yard line. Coming up already on the midway point of the 2nd quarter. Aquino bobbled that one, actually threw it behind the line of scrimmage, hauled in reception to the near side. Ball is loose on the turf. Was it deemed to be a fumble or was it down by contact? And the official on the near side immediately points down to the turf.
Man, what a close call there, and I'll wait to see the replay before I deem any judgment there, but that was really close. And like I said, Washington Township is give credit to Passaic Tech. They're playing tough defense here. You can see the receiver gets the ball, and
ooh, that looked like it might have been on its way out for Jair Moore before his knee even touched the turf. We have the benefit of the replay that the officials don't have. 4th and 6 as Washington Township goes for it. They're looking to go for the distance. Has a man open, but overshoots him. That would have not only been a first down, it would have been a walk-in touchdown. Missed opportunity there for Cole Aquino in Washington Township and a turnover on downs.
Yeah, a rare miss there for Aquino. Is usually pretty accurate, hitting a 70% clip on the season. No harm, no foul there for Passaic Tech, who played a great drive on defense. But again, they get they get out of there with not giving up any points, especially off of a play that probably should have been a turnover there on the previous play.
I was going to say, you chalk that up to the basketball equivalent of ball don't lie.
Right.
That should have been a turnover. They got away with it, and then they misfired on that fourth down. So Passaic Tech, their second offensive possession, first drive ended in a touchdown, and they get it into the hands of Kadir Young. Young has been a force in the postseason. He's coming into today's game. Just in the playoff games, Andrew, 470 rushing yards, 4 touchdowns, and looked impressive in various degrees in that opening drive.
Yeah, Young's one of those players where you figure out any way you can to get him the ball, whether it's through the air or on the ground. Just dynamic, really tough to stop.
Averaging close to 10 yards per carry this season. A little bit of a cadence call, and no penalty flag flies. And now a penalty flag flies, and it looks like it's going to be a false start against the offense. Could have sworn there was neutral zone.
False start, offense. First, second down.
Wow, Washington Township, it looked like they had crossed the neutral zone, and then eventually the false start penalty is elicited.
Yeah, I really thought that was going to be a defensive offsides. I know if I'm in the position that Coach Demarest is in, I'm probably reacting the same exact way, because I think that was pretty obvious that was an offsides penalty.
Second down and 11 now after the penalty. Miles still has it. Now elects to throw. What patient attack there. He drew a couple of defenders inside to him and then eventually floated it downfield to his wide receiver, Mike Machalski. Good enough for a first down.
Yeah, Miles there finds Machalski as tight end. Like you said earlier, if they could just lose track of these receivers and extend plays with his legs, that's how you can really boost this pass game.
Senior confidence there by Miles when he could have easily just tucked that down and ran with it. We said that in the opening drive as well. He passed up a good play for a great play. And once again, it's these late developing routes that are victimizing Washington Township here, Coach.
Right. We haven't seen Miles sit back there in the pocket really and just kind of dissect the Washington Township defense. It's probably not going to happen too often. What we have seen is Miles be an athlete, move around a little bit, and like you said, these late developing patterns, that's when these guys are coming open, and Miles is doing a great job of finding them.
Under 3.5 minutes left to go here in the first half. Second down and 7 for Passaic Tech at their own 47. It's going to be a handoff to the near side, broken tackle. That'll give extra yardage here for the Bulldogs, who will lunge their way forward past midfield, extending the football back into Washington Township territory. But once again, the Minutemen are going to be kicking themselves. They had a chance to make a tackle in the backfield or even just in the line of scrimmage, but the broken tackle gave them an additional 4 yards.
Yeah, it's a tough miss there for the Washington Township defensive line. Had them wrapped up in the backfield, but see what happens here on this 3rd and short.
3rd down and 2. Minutemen trying to make a stop just past midfield. It'll be Miles still with it to the far side, and this time he's going to be contained. They have not found a lot of success so far in this game, has Passaic Tech in their quarterback run plays. Kind of like how that 2-point conversion attempt was stonewalled. That time again, on that far side, there was nothing going as Moore made the tackle.
Yeah, really good play there by Moore off the edge, not allowing Miles to get going, and he is a threat. He's a serious threat to run, and pulled that one, and Township's able to get themselves out of dodge there.
4th down and 4. Punting unit coming onto the field for Coach Demarest of Passaic Tech. As Nicholas Dragone is the one who punts the ball here. It's going to be fielded just inside the 20-yard line and moved outside the 20 there in the punt return by Washington Township. So 2:02 left to go here in a quickly played first half and a 6-3 lead for Passaic Tech. New Jersey football fans are invited to listen to the Jersey Blitz, NJ.com's free high school football podcast. On the show, I help break down all the action around the Garden State alongside our 6 NJ.com football beat writers. Listen to every episode of the Jersey Blitz wherever you get your podcasts. So possibly the final possession of the first half for Washington Township. They orchestrated a field goal drive in the opening drive of the game, and then the last drive, a turnover on downs. They'll start this drive and originate it from their own 24. Low snap, Aquino still got the handoff. But are they going to say that his knee was on the ground?
They are. That's exactly what they're saying, partner. And the snaps have been low a lot. We've seen at least one per drive, I think, so far with the Washington Township offense. Aquino goes down, and unlucky break for the Washington Township offense. Knees on the ground when he picks up the ball.
So a loss of 4. The clock will continue to meander its way down. It doesn't look like Washington Township in any rush right now to possibly use a timeout. They'll throw it here on a bubble screen. Wide receiver actually venturing backwards behind the line of scrimmage to better his angle, and was able to move it forward on that play for Pratt, but it's still going to bring up a 3rd down and long. And again, the time is ticking down here as we're closing in on the final minute of the second quarter.
Yeah, Pratt kind of takes a back step there after catching the ball, trying to let his big offensive lineman get out there and create some room for him, but Passaic Tech defense all over it and stops him for a minimal gain.
Kind of surprised that Passaic Tech hasn't tried to use a timeout here either.
Yeah, I am a little bit.
Washington Township facing a 3rd down and 9 as they milk the play clock down. Aquino steps up in the pocket. There's a lot of green on the far side. Aquino will try to tuck it down and run with it. He is deemed to have kept it in bounds. He's tackled before the line to get, and still no timeout taken right now by Passaic Tech.
Yeah, and Aquino not really known for his wheels. You can see why there. There was a great closing tackle by number 7 there for Passaic Tech. Now it looks like we got a timeout called.
Ian McDuffie made the play to prevent that first down from being picked up, but Coach Demarest, I think he would have known early on, hey, it wasn't long enough for a first down.
Passaic County Tech, please put 31 seconds back on the clock.
So they do put some more time back on the clock, but I would think that if you're Coach Demarest, as soon as McDuffie made that play and he's short of the line to get, you want to use that timeout, and you never know what will happen. You don't want to get too aggressive. You know that right now you're winning this defensive-oriented game, but at least force them to get the punt away. We saw in our first game of the day that there was a block punt right before halftime that looked like it was going to change the whole direction that the game was taking.
Yeah, I think if I'm Coach Demarest, I was calling a timeout there after the second down play that brought up 3rd down. You've been playing well on offense. Your defense has been playing incredibly well, and you can really establish some momentum here going into halftime, but instead they decide to wait. Now they'll have about 30 seconds if they get the ball back here.
Passaic Tech doesn't even have really a punt returner all the way back for this one. They're not expecting a real punt, as this one will just bounce away. Very conservative play calling here for the Bulldogs. Heading close to halftime, I think that they're very happy of where they're situated in this game, and they don't want to make a mistake that might break their backs a bit here in the end of the first half.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to see much here with 18 seconds left in the first half for Passaic Tech to come out here and try and get anything going. But I just try and put myself into somebody else's shoes sometimes. And
that's why I was asking, where it's like after that second down play and you have a 3rd down and 9 upcoming, it kind of screamed out, hey, I have 3 timeouts. If you're feeling confident, now I could understand Coach Demarest, he saw how they methodically got marched down the field in the first drive. He might be thinking, if I'm giving timeouts, I might be playing to the hands of Washington Township.
Well, they're not in a victory formation, so they hand off there.
Handoff is to Kadir Young as we close in the final seconds of the first half, and with the applause being produced by the coaching staff of Passaic Tech, it leads us to believe that will be the final play of the first half. The Bulldogs know that they will be receiving the kickoff to start the second half of play. So a bit of a surprise here. Not only that it's a 6-3 lead for Passaic Tech, but that it's such a low-scoring affair between two teams that have been averaging close to 40 points per game this postseason. A lot of fun football here in the Meadowlands at MetLife Stadium as you're watching the exclusive broadcast coverage of the Group 5 Football Championship. Stick around as we'll be back after halftime for more of the second half here on NJ.com.
Thank you to all the schools who participated in Fall Signing Day, presented by Zebra Bank on November 12th. Nearly 70 schools from across the state have imposed their signing day event. The NJSIAA and Zebra Bank wish the best to every student athlete as they continue their journey forward. Fans, give these student athletes a round of applause. As an athlete, you know a distraction on the field can cost you the game. On the road, the distraction can cost you your life. The New Jersey Division of Highway Traffic Safety reminds you to stay focused and never let your phone compete with your safety. Phones down, just drive. The NJSIAA would like to thank all schools that participated in this fall's student section of the week campaign, presented by Xfinity. And congratulations to Kittleon High School, who received the most votes during the playoffs and was named the 2025 Xfinity Student Section of the Year. We thank Xfinity for the support of our NJSIAA student athletes all fall. Wilson Sporting Goods has an unwavering commitment to the game. Their dedication and drive fuel sports on high school fields and in professional stadiums nationwide. Wilson is proud to be the official football partner of the NJSIAA. Learn more at wilson.com. NJ.com, the leading provider of local high school sports coverage in the state, is proud to be a media sponsor of the NJSIAA. For official graphics, photo galleries, and in-depth coverage of championships and tournaments. Xfinity Mobile is proud to support the NJSIAA Football State Championships. Join the millions who have switched to one of the fastest growing mobile services. Choose from the latest phones, bring your own, or trade in to save even more. With nationwide 5G included, there's no better time to switch. Discover the best kept wireless secret and visit xfinitymobile.com to learn more. College is expensive, but it doesn't have to be. An Army ROTC National Scholarship will pay up to your full tuition, teach you valuable leadership skills, and give you a head start across a range of Army disciplines and officerships. Applications must be started no later than March 4, 2026, and completed by March 16, 2026, to be eligible for review for the 2025-2026 school year. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the field for your halftime entertainment, the Passaic Tech Marching Bulldogs Band. and gentlemen, have a nice round of applause for the NJSIAA Marching Corps. That's correct. 1, 2, 3. The New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection. New Jersey Motor Vehicle Commission wants to remind you about idling. Idling. It's bad for your car, bad for the environment, bad for your health, and against the law. Turn it off and be idle free after 3 minutes. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome cheerleading squad from Passaic Tech.
Welcome back to MetLife Stadium as we're moments away from the resumption of play in the start of the second half. Passaic Tech holding the upset right now, a 6-3 lead over number 6 ranked Washington Township, as the Minutemen getting stretched just before the start of the second half of play. It looked like in the beginning here of this first half that Washington Township was just going to simply power its way down the field into the end zone, but penalties as well as key Passaic Tech stops forced them to take only a field goal. They led 3-0, and then after that, Passaic Tech engineered a touchdown drive, a long drive of their own, to find their way into the end zone for a 6-3 advantage after the 2-point try was no good. Dan Long, Andrew Daly, glad that you could join us here. And Andrew, this has been an interesting first half. Passaic Tech will start with the ball to start the second half. They have been opportunistic in finding a way and finding an answer against this ferocious defense, and it's become a possessional game where there may not be a lot of possessions for each team to operate on offense.
Yeah, this game has moved very quickly, as you said, and there hasn't been a whole lot of possessions, but Passaic Tech is making the most of the possessions that they have, and I'm really impressed by Miles from the quarterback position, being able to extend plays with his legs and find his open receivers. I mean, Miles in the first half was 6 for 6 for 73 yards and a touchdown. Very efficient, just keeping his eyes downfield and picking apart this Washington Township defense.
And for Passaic Tech, Kadir Young hasn't even become a big-time factor in this game yet. It's been more the play of Tyson Watkins, who's been that wide receiver in the intermediate routes that have been really crushing in terms of some of those catches. He made 2 third-down conversions and then eventually the touchdown grab.
Yeah, big-time catches out of Watkins, and, he's just being able, like you said, being able to find a hole in the defense and make yourself available to the quarterback, and to be able to do that, it's a special kind of talent. And don't, let's not forget to mention the yards after the catch. He's been doing a great job of securing the catch and picking up positive yardage after the catch as well. So
just waiting before the resumption of play as Washington Township's cheerleading crew gets their chance to perform at MetLife. This has got to be such a thrill for the school community, because as a South Jersey program, to get the opportunity to come up here to an NFL facility, granted, this is the first time ever in a state final, but also to get to play here is pretty special rather than even at Rutgers.
Yeah, absolutely. And, it's fun to be able to get to play in an NFL facility. Granted, I'm a Washington Township resident myself. Granted, Lincoln Financial Field is 15 minutes away from us, but we can't play the New Jersey State Championship games in Pennsylvania. So to come up here it's a really unique experience for these guys, and they really enjoy it. I know that they got the police escort up here, so it's a really cool, memorable experience for all these players here today.
And for Passaic Tech, this is their first time playing in a state final here. In their previous 2 trips to the Group 5 final, they had to play at Rutgers, so this is just a couple of minutes away, 20 minutes away from campus in Wayne.
Yeah, being able to play in front of your home fans, it's a lot easier of a trip for them to come out here and see them, only 20 minutes away. So great atmosphere here today, and really great football game early on.
So the halftime show is now done here for the cheerleading group of Washington Township. We saw the marching bands and also both cheerleading squads perform for the respective sides. This is the Group 5 state final, the largest school classification, as this is a matchup between Passaic Tech 10-3 on the season, making their 3rd appearance in a Group 5 final, looking for their first state championship. In Washington Township, ranked number 6 overall in the Garden State, the second highest ranked public school behind Winslow. They're 13-0. They're making their first all-time appearance. So somebody's going to come away here with the Group 5 title for the first time in program history.
Yeah, it'll be really interesting to see who comes out at halftime with a little bit of mojo, little swag, a little confidence. And going into halftime, I'll tell you right now, it's Passaic Tech. Be curious to see what Coach Schatzman had to say to his guys when he went into the locker room for halftime.
Matt Demarest has led his Bulldogs to 4 sectional championships in his coaching tenure. This, the 3rd state finals appearance in 4 years. And as you mentioned, Coach Schatzman leading the Minutemen to their first ever appearance in a Group 5 championship. Back-to-back sectional titles for the Minutemen as we're underway at the start of the second half here on NJ.com. As the Bulldogs will look to return it outside of their 20, and that's where eventually they will be bottled up. And the offense will check out onto the field for the first time in this second half. Bulldogs lost in their previous 2 appearances, 28-7 in 2022 to Toms River North, and then 23-13 against the Mariners as well in the 2023 Group 5 final. Program that has won 6 sectional championships, all coming since 1998. They've been regarded as a sleeping giant in northern New Jersey, public school power that has emerged to the Group 5 level. First down and 10. It'll be Miles with the quarterback keeper himself to the far side. And again, he has been limited in his ability to go outside the tackles here today. Good tackle on the edge there by Parker Reese.
Yeah, with Osborne on the edge and Palaganis on the edge for Washington Township, it's really tough for any opposing player to get to the edge on this defense. But keep an eye out, too. I see that it looks like McFall is not back out in the lineup, so might be safe to assume that his day's done, and that's a big-time loss for that Washington Township defense.
He got hurt back in the first half, couldn't put any weight on his foot after being helped off the field, and now Passaic Tech is upended, limited gain there. And quickly right out of the gate, Passaic Tech is facing a 3rd down and long play. That was Randy Lewis with the carry.
I think it would go a long way if Washington Township can get out of this drive here and start this half off with a 3 and out. Give them a little momentum that they needed, because I know, they were I'm sure they went into that locker room a little shocked here in the first half.
3rd down and 8. This is where Watkins has loomed rather large. They pass it to Watkins to the near side, makes the first catch, and he falls his way forward, and it looks like he got enough again. A 3rd down and 8, and he picks up 9. He has been the Achilles heel for this Township defense.
Yeah, Watkins has just been the go-to guy here on third down and big-time situations, just picking up just enough for the first down. I thought maybe his knee might have been down when he caught the ball, but it didn't look to be, and referees let it play, and Tech picks up the key first down here coming out of the halftime.
They just save their throws to number 13 on third down. They don't even try to get him involved earlier on in these downs. First down and 10 for the Bulldogs. Once again, it's going to be a handoff this time to Randy Lewis. So a couple of carries for the backup running back. Lewis, no slouch himself. 505 rushing yards, 6 touchdowns on the season as he plays second fiddle to the amazing Kadir Young. As you take a look at that offensive huddle for Passaic Tech, they are in their home black uniforms. They've got a couple of different sets of uniforms that they like to don throughout the course of the season. Got the identity of their coach, black and blue, their school colors here, as Miles was trying to go with a cadence call to maybe gift himself 5 yards. Good discipline by the Township defense. And once again, tracking down that ball carrier that time was Osborne from the near side, and it's going to be a third down and long.
Yeah, it's a great play there by Osborne. You see they want to set up a run to the right with the two pulling linemen there, and Osborne able to sniff it out and follow his keys and does a great job making that tackle for a loss.
Osborne coming off a semifinal performance against Kingsway when he recorded 5 tackles and a pair of sacks. Third down and 5. They just converted on a third down and 8 a couple of plays ago. Washington Township fans getting loud to support their defense. Miles, clean pocket. He'll tuck it down and run with it. Break a couple of tackles. Spin through another tackle. Oh, a highlight reel conversion as he's pumped up to say the least. Gabe Miles converts on a third down and 5.
You'll see here Miles goes back to set, and that offensive line just parts like the Red Sea. There's a ton of room for Miles to get upfield, and he does a great job of seeing that and not even considering throwing the ball. Says, hey, I'm just going to pick up this first down with my legs.
The spin move at the very end capped off an incredible run. First down and 10. Passaic Tech getting it done on third downs, and this time Lewis is dropped in the backfield. A big loss, a tackle for a loss there. As that's a big play by Jalen Robinson, a 3-year starter. 5 sacks already this postseason for Robinson, who's part of that core on defense.
Yeah, Robinson playing well today, and it's kind of a back-and-forth type style for this Washington Township defense. You get one good play, one bad play, one good play, one bad play. There's no consistency really offensively or defensively for the Township program so far.
Minutemen just haven't been able to get off the field on third down. Here's going to be a screen pass set up, a deflection, and an interception! Interception off the carom by Andrew Osborne, and there's the first turnover of the day produced by Washington Township. Their 15th interception of the season.
Great play there by Osborne, and you can see, I always say if you're a defensive lineman and it seems too good to be true, it probably is. Washington Township defensive front there does a great job playing back on that screen. They're able to knock the ball up in the air, and Osborne's able to finish off the job and make the interception. So setting up the Washington Township offense here on the plus side of the field.
Pretty interesting that we have yet to see Kadir Young on any of those plays on offense that they even were setting up the screen pass for Lewis. So Washington Township takes over in Passaic Tech territory. First down and 10 of the Bulldog 45, down by a field goal. They'll hand it off, and the ball is loose. This is coughed up by Beeler. One play and another turnover. This time, Passaic Tech jumps on the loose pigskin. As they proudly hold up the football, as it's Michael Morrow picking up the loose change.
Michael Morrow, the linebacker who's been all over the field for Passaic Tech all season, just doesn't look like Beeler gets the handoff there. He drops it. It goes right through the belly there and on the ground. And up, like I just said, one step forward, 2 steps back for this Washington Township program today so far in this one. And it just happened right there again. You get the big interception by Osborne. The very next play, you turn the ball over on a fumbled handoff.
Not often you see in football, Andrew, 2 plays, 2 turnovers.
No.
We'll see if this is a clear momentum swing here. Miles will look to throw it, and he fits it in a very tight window there despite 2 blanketed defenders. He somehow finds it into the hands of Mike Michalski. Michalski's second reception of the state championship game.
It's a heck of a catch there by Michalski, and heavy pressure there. Took a big shot, was able to hold on to the ball. Nice job there at number 4.
Brings up a second down and 3. Pass midfield into Washington Township territory at the Minutemen 48-yard line. Coming up on 5 minutes gone by here in the second half. Now it's Miles, and he faked the handoff, and again, he is dead to rights here in the backfield by this Minutemen defense. Washington Township, they know exactly when Miles has it, and that time he faked the handoff to Kadir Young in his first appearance of the second half, but there is a penalty flag back at the defensive side. As we wait to hear from our referee, Fran Delaney, who's got the honor of calling this Group 5 state championship here at MetLife, the second of 4 championship games here today.
Dead ball, personal foul, number 57 of Passaic County Tech. That's a 15-yard penalty. It's third down.
Very costly penalty there, Andrew, and a dead ball foul against Zachary Rosario, the center.
Yeah, it's a huge penalty there for Passaic Tech, and a great break there for Washington Township, taking them back.
Correction. That's an unsportsmanlike conduct. He's entitled to 2. That's his first.
Yeah. Mr. Delaney down there, I'm surprised he didn't say he's giving them the business. That's how I feel like this one's going here, huh?
This is a physical game that is emotional as well. These two teams so similar to one another. It's brought on a nice little feel of a snarl type setting to this one. Third down and 21 now after the penalty. Miles just threw an interception on the last series, and he's trying to stiff arm a defender. How's that going for him? He lost the football. Just trying to do way too much, and Osborne, who has an interception, also almost produced a fumble recovery, and Passaic Tech is now getting away from what works for them.
Yeah, another great job here by Osborne. You see Miles trying to get out of the pocket, puts the brakes on. Osborne does a great job not being fooled, and I'm kind of surprised that whistle didn't blow a little bit earlier with the forward progress being stopped, but the referees let it play out and worked out to Washington Township's benefit.
Unbelievable hand-eye coordination there by Osborne. He tied up Miles, and then with the free hand just swatted down at the football and produced the fumble, and now a penalty is going to go against Passaic Tech for good measure.
Dead ball, false start, offense, good fourth down.
Yeah, we went when we went to camp with Washington Township over the summer as a program, and granted we didn't gain one positive yard, but Osborne was the one guy who stood out as an absolute freak on that defensive line.
Now Dragone has to punt from his own goal line, and all things considered, he gets off a great kick. It will be returnable here for Township to the near side. A nice run down the near sideline all the way down to the Passaic Tech 30. That was a big return there by Darian Joyner, who got ahead of steam in front of him as he just took it off the carob.
Yeah, that was a huge play there by Joyner, but set up by a great block by Binder, number 11 there. It's always tough. You always see these punt returns, and whenever you see a body go flying, you automatically assume that it's a block in the back. Referees did a good job there of keeping their eyes on the play and seeing that was a clean block, and Binder was able to set up that long return there for Joyner.
Washington Township coughed up a great opportunity the last time to have that drive begin in Passaic Tech territory. They get an even better starting field position this time from the 30. And this time it's going to be a handoff to Jalen Robinson. Robinson ran for 135 yards and 2 touchdowns last week in the win against Kingsway. Getting the handoff that time, picking up 4 yards.
I'm surprised we haven't seen more of Robinson this game. He ran the ball really well in that opening drive, and we really kind of haven't seen him much since then. He provides a real nice spark of speed to this Washington Township offense. That, like I said, I'm curious to see if you see more of him down the road here.
Second down and 6. And off to the near side. Bruising run there, bouncing off a defender, going for the end zone. Touchdown, Washington Township. Jalen Robinson with his 10th rushing score of the season and the first touchdown here at MetLife for the Minutemen.
Huge run there by Robinson off the right-hand side, and like you said, just a bruising run, and Passaic Tech had the ability to stop him for a minimal gain, but Robinson puts his head down and says, I'm just going to run through you guys, and I'm going to make my way to the end zone here, and he puts the offense on his back and finishes it off in the end zone. Huge drive for the Minutemen.
Extra point kick is up by Sheets, and the kick is good with 4:38 left to go here in the third quarter. Washington Township takes the lead back for the second time in this game.
You knew the Township had the weapons offensively, and it was just a matter of time before one of them broke free, and Robinson did a great job there, and it's going to be on Passaic Tech. Passaic Tech's got to come back and have put together a nice drive here.
So Passaic Tech starts off the second half, Andrew, and they get a couple of first downs, eventually have to get rid of the football, and they turn it over. Then they get the gift of a turnover right back to them. But then they kind of got away from what's been working for them. They haven't been as balanced. They've been trying to run more of a quarterback power play on the outside, which has been negated. And then that big penalty led to the ball just moving backwards, and then bad field position, and 30 yards later, touchdown for Washington Township.
Yeah, that last drive for Passaic Tech offensively was just a series of unfortunate events, but they got to get back to running the ball, setting up the pass game with Miles, and again, getting that ball into Young's hands and into Watkins' hands. Watkins has been the go-to guy in the receiving game so far today.
But only on third downs. They have not really tried to find him and other wide receivers that much in the early downs. They've really been doing run on first, run on second, convert on third. We'll see if they have to change things up a little bit here with their largest deficit of the game at 4, 10-6, with 4:31 left to go here in the third. First and 10 at their own 25-yard line. Once again, Young is into the game as the main tailback. They'll hand it off to Young, and Kadir will only get maybe 1 yard at most on the play, setting up a second down and 9.
Just keep going back to, you're not going to do very well against this Washington Township defense, just running power and zone plays. And you got to give a little bit of eye candy, a little bit of movement in the pocket. That's why Tech has been so successful. We talked about, Miles' ability to extend plays. We haven't seen that in the first two drives here in the second half.
Second down and 9 with under 4 minutes left to go. Passaic Tech trailing the 6th-ranked team in New Jersey, trying to finish a 14-0 season. Miles fires that one to the far side, and a full extension grab right at the line to get by Ian McDuffie. That was a thing of beauty by McDuffie's strong hands, and good enough for a first down.
Yeah, nice rhythm throw there from Miles. Gets the ball out to McDuffie. As soon as Miles hit his drop, that ball was out of his hands, knowing that he doesn't have a whole lot of time with this Washington Township defensive line penetrating. Does a great job of delivering the football, and McDuffie does a great job of finishing.
Last week they gave up Washington Township 224 yards through the air and 3 touchdowns against Kingsway. You kind of surprised that Passaic Tech hasn't been trying to throw it a little bit more?
I think, like I said, the secondary of Washington Township is pretty solid. It's when they get in trouble when they elongate plays and they extend plays. I am surprised that Tech hasn't come out of this second half trying to run a little bit more play action, a little bit more sprint out or roll out, just trying to get one of those receivers to pop free somewhere and score a quick touchdown.
Second down and 7. I know you want to stay balanced, but it's kind of interesting to see that they've been able to find success through the air, even though this is a predominantly run-oriented and heavy team. Passaic Tech has thrown now 22 touchdowns on the season. Here's going to be an option play. Oh, look, trickery right down the middle of the field. I was about to say, it's Miles running the option. There was no one to flip it out to. Instead, he just threw it right down vertically the field for a first down.
Yeah, that was about as late as you could possibly hold on to a football from a quarterback RPO type style. Offensive line does a great job not going downfield because that play took very long to develop, and Miles did a great job there of it was an option, but it just there was no pitch man. The only other option was to throw it downfield.
Miles was noticeably limping after completing that pass. You can see on your screen, is still trying to flex that right foot a bit. First down and 10, something to keep an eye on here at midfield. Handoff is to Kadir Young, and Young is going to get stacked up on the play. It looks like Washington Township has made the necessary adjustments, and they're starting to really take over in terms of shutting down the run game.
Yeah, like I said, they're not going to get too much. They're just not going to give up a whole lot straight up the middle. So you got to be able to attack the edges and attack them through their pass, through the pass game.
Closest game of the season for Washington Township was their 39-36 win against Kingsway in the regular season back on October 17th. They're in a fight here at MetLife against Passaic Tech. Passaic Tech down by 4, 10-6. Miles. Pressure coming. Avoids that. Trying to get a little help from his offensive lineman, and he still finds a way to complete it down the field. He nearly got sacked by a defender, nearly got bear hugged by an offensive lineman, and he still had the poise to complete the pass.
Yeah, this is just a great job by Miles extending the play and making something happen. It's Trinidad on the catch there, it looked like, for Passaic Tech. Just doing a good job of finding a hole in the defense and making yourself available to the quarterback. And man, Miles and his escapability has been really something special to watch.
Avoided the sack attempt and then also had to run into his own teammate Jaden Paulino, his big left tackle. Here's a handoff to Young, and Young is one of those dangerous runners. You can kind of see he's like the sports car that you shift into second and third gear. If he hits that third level, he's gone.
Well, that's what we were talking about. Even when they when Tech ran the clock out there at the end of the first half, I'm like, well, you never really kneel the clock out with when you hand the ball off to Young. He's always got the opportunity to go and take it the distance. He can do it quicker than a hiccup.
Second down and 7. Promising looking drive here for Passaic Tech. From the Washington Township 34-yard line coming up in the final seconds of the third quarter. Miles barking out the cadence. We'll look over to his play callers on the far side for Passaic Tech. Third appearance at a state championship final in the last 4 years. And will Coach Demers have to use a timeout? He will. He'll use one of his 3 second-half timeouts.
Passaic County Tech. It's their first of the second half.
As we close in on 20 seconds left to go here in the third quarter. So you never really want to burn those timeouts, certainly in the second half, in the third quarter. So this is an important play call out of the timeout here, Andrew. Second down and 7. You don't want to waste that timeout and then get nothing out of it.
Yeah, you don't want. You're right. You don't want to waste the timeout at this point of the game, but it is a crucial point in the game. You're down by 4 points. You got second and long here. You got to make sure that you got the right play called or the right personnel on the field. So if you have to take a timeout to make sure that you don't do something that'll put you in jeopardy, that's what Coach Demers had to do there.
New Jersey football fans are invited to listen in to the Jersey Blitz, NJ.com's high school football podcast. I help break down all the action around the Garden State alongside our 6 NJ.com beat writers. Listen to every episode of the Jersey Blitz wherever you get your podcasts. Second down and 7 at the Township 34-yard line. 10-6 lead for Washington Township on top of Passaic County Tech. Fastball thrown to the near side, and that time a pass breakup from behind. Great defensive work there by Para. The 6-foot junior made sure that pass was not completed to Tyson Watkins.
Yeah, it was a great job by Para. Watkins just run a little quick hitch route, curl route, whatever you want to call it. Para breaks on it, does a great job getting a hand in there, knocking it down, bringing up a third down.
Third down and 7. So a bit of a waste of a timeout there, considering that pass was broken up for an incompletion. Third down and 7 here for Passaic Tech. Screen pass set up to the far side. Trying to curl it around to the inside, and a pickup of about only 2 or 3. That's going to set up a fourth down, and that should be the final play of the third quarter. And decisions will abound here for Coach Demers and his side. You're kind of in a no man's land, too far for a field goal, certainly here at MetLife, and maybe too short for a punt. So he'll have a couple of extra moments to think about what he wants to do here. At the end of 3 quarters of play at MetLife Stadium, it's Washington Township 10, Passaic County Tech 6. Stick around as we'll be back for the start of the fourth quarter here on your exclusive broadcast home for the state finals on NJ.com. Back here at MetLife Stadium for the start of the fourth quarter of play, a 4-point ball game, and what is shaped up to be a fantastic game here for the 2025 Group 5 State Championship. Passaic Tech keeping their offense on the field, facing a 4th down and 5 against a Washington Township defense, one of the better defenses in the state. Miles on 4th down, throws it to the far side. His wide receiver never really turned around until the very end. The pass was to the outside. Watkins was breaking more to the inside, and there was an opportunity there on a conversion because the defense kind of sloughed off big time. If Watkins had been more to the outside, that would have been an easy pitch and catch.
Yeah, I'm surprised that the Washington Township corner was playing so far off of him there. It looked like there was a little miscommunication between quarterback and the receiver. Receiver pulled or went a little too deep, I think. The coach probably told him just to run to the sticks and get the first down. Receiver ran a little bit further than that, and it looked like Miles threw it right at that first down marker, so could be an explanation of what happened there.
The way that this game has been going, Andrew, it just makes me feel like Washington Township scores another touchdown. This might be out of reach for Passaic Tech. This is huge for them to try to get off the field. As that time, it's a handoff to Colin Beeler. Beeler trying to make amends after having a turnover earlier in the state final. But the way that this defense has been playing since they've surrendered that opening touchdown drive against Passaic Tech, it's been tough sledding here for the Bulldogs.
Yeah, like you mentioned a little bit earlier, Washington Township, one of the best defenses in the state. So if they can get another touchdown here, it's, now we're in the fourth quarter here. Really tall task for the Passaic Tech team, but they're not giving in on defense themselves.
2nd down and 7. Washington Township at their own 35. They're going to go to a steady dose of the run game and a big breakout by Robinson. Robinson already with 1 touchdown at MetLife. He's looking for 2, and he'll get it. Touchdown, Washington Township. A 65-yard scamper to the end zone by Robinson, who accounts for both touchdowns here in the second half. And Washington Township is flying high here on offense.
Yeah, we talked about Washington Township needing somebody to step up on offense and be the guy to carry this team in the second half, and Robinson has done just that. He's got both touchdowns here for the Minutemen here. He hits this hole, and he's untouched for 65 yards, untouched. He almost gets caught there, does a good job holding on to the football, and dives across the end zone.
Extra point kick by Sheets is up, and the kick is good. And after Passaic Tech led 6-3, it's been 14 unanswered points in this game, courtesy of number 10 in red, white, and blue, as the 5'9 senior trying to propel his team to a perfect season. And now this is clearly danger time for Passaic Tech. They had a 6-3 advantage. They had it after a turnover, almost close to midfield. They were not able to do anything there. And it just seems like Washington Township was waiting. They were still confident the whole time here, Andrew, and now their offense is knocked down the door.
Yeah, we talked about that coming out of halftime. Who's going to, make the adjustments that they needed to make? I can speak from knowledge that I know Washington Township underperformed a little bit in the first half. The question was, are they going to come out and be able to play truer to form here in the second half? And they really have. The defense has stepped up. Robinson is kind of taking over at running back and moving the ball at will. And, hey, there's 11 minutes left in this one. It's 17-6. Passaic Tech, if they can get a drive together here on offense and put some points on the board, they're right back in this thing.
Right now, this would still be the least amount of points scored in a single game this season for Washington Township, as they scored previously a season-low 21 points in a win against Millville earlier this season, but things weren't looking great when they were stuck on only a field goal, and they had 3 points on the board, and it was another turnover after the Beeler fumble. But now, again, it seems like the defense has generated that confidence that they give it right back to the offense, because the defense is saying, hey, this is enough. We're not surrendering anything more.
There's a term that I like to use, and it's called regression to the mean. And that means everything will come back to the way it's supposed to be eventually. And I think the Washington Township offense really got rolling here in the second half, and the defense is playing truer to form.
I like that term.
Yeah,
you might have to steal that one.
You can. We got 2 more games after this.
First down and 10 here for Passaic Tech. This feels like a must-score drive that Miles needs to orchestrate. Had a man open down the field, did not want to risk it. Tucked it down and had his best positive run of the second half right up the middle.
Yeah, a little double move there from the receiver on the outside. It looked like Miles thought about going to him, but he saw that safety over top for Washington Township, decided not to pull the trigger there. Tuck it and run and setting up second and manageable here.
Again, think back to that last 4th down that they had where they had a man open, but the throw was not on the same line between quarterback and wide receiver. Here Miles again directing traffic, throws it across the middle, juggled but held on to. Anthony D'Agostino, the senior, hauls in his first catch as he celebrates here at MetLife. And there's another injured player behind the play for Washington Township, as it looks like it might be Jaden Sanchez, the defensive end.
Ineligible receiver downfield against the offense. Replay second down.
Oh, another crucial penalty here against Passaic Tech, as the penalties are starting to really play a part in this game against Passaic Tech, who have been struggling. As we're just waiting for for Mr. Delaney to turn his microphone off.
Whose radio's on?
Whoops.
That's great. And I was going to say that it looked like Miles was dangerously close to the line of scrimmage there. They wind up calling an ineligible person downfield, so Township able to get away with one there. But it's another example of Passaic Tech able to have success when extending the plays, and Miles is doing a great job of holding that defense true to form. And every time he scrambles out, you draw a couple defenders, and then he's just able to dump the ball out over top of them and make a nice completion.
Good to see Jaden Sanchez walk off the field under his own power, but that is a costly penalty. Instead of a first down and 10 out to almost the 40-yard line, it's going to be second down and 10 at the 22. Miles back to pass again. He's mobile, trying to get it to the far side. Has a man, kind of flips it forward. And a good job there of finding his wide receiver. That's Jordan Blaraquente, number 16, the sophomore tight end, who had released immediately when that play was being developed to the far side. I was kind of wondering if Miles was ever going to throw it to him, and he eventually did. Kind of Mahomes-esque shovel pass forward.
Yeah, you stole my word. It looked like it reminded me of Patrick Mahomes there, the way he delivered that football, and he was rolling out to his left. Great play there to move the chains and kind of negates the penalty that they just had. But 10 minutes now, they got to start moving the ball a little bit, or start moving with a little bit of urgency.
They've been more of methodical, gradual attack here today. No real big plays being surrendered here by this Washington Township defense. Again, a defense that's held 7 of their 13 opponents coming into the game to single digits. Here is a pass, juggled and incomplete that time. D'Agostino was the one who would have been open for about a gain of 7 or 8 on the play, but it falls incomplete instead.
Yeah, rare drop we haven't seen many drops out of this Passaic Tech team today, and D'Agostino lets that one fall through his hands, and it would have been a modest little pickup, but nothing to write home about.
It would have been something, seeing that they really haven't been winning on first and second down, certainly when it comes to their run game. And now they've started to open up their passing offense a little bit more. Seems like Miles much more comfortable outside the pocket than throwing from inside. Young to the right side of him. He's been a non-factor in the state final. Again, Miles getting pressured. He still fights his way out of it. Ill-advised interception. As he threw it, he probably should have just held on to it. And a pick nonetheless for Washington Township. This defense is for real.
Yeah, not the best idea here for Miles. You see him scrambling out, heavy pressure. He's going down. He's just trying to make a play. State championship, time's running out. He's trying to throw it up and make something happen, but Washington Township's the one that wind up making something happen and coming up with a big-time interception at a big-time point in the game.
Elliot Seibert, number 32, who's getting the praise from his team, picks off that pass. And now it kind of feels like the Minutemen can go for the knockout blow. First down and 10 at the Passaic Tech 19-yard line, leading 17-6, 9:45 left to go. But the way that this defense has been playing, it leads you to believe another touchdown would be really tough for Passaic Tech to fight back from. Bottled up run that time as 3 different Bulldog defenders were able to get there to make the play in front, including the play of Angel Mendoza, number 55.
You don't be surprised if you see Coach Schatzman here from Washington Township try and take a shot to the end zone, try and put the nail in the metaphorical coffin here.
Second down and 10. No gain of the play from the 19-yard line. Luke Sheets has already converted on 1 field goal here in this game. A field goal would still keep this a 2-score deficit, so that's exactly what Passaic Tech would want outside of obviously a turnover. But another touchdown might put this one out of reach. Hand off to Osborne, and Osborne is going to be upended as he gets to the 15-yard line, and now third down upcoming. And if you're Washington Township, Andrew, you want to run a little clock as well. You're going to be in no hurry here getting in between the snaps.
Yeah, for sure. And if I'm Passaic Tech on defense, I'm like, man, I got to stop, the speed of Robinson, and now when Robinson comes out, I got Osborne coming in, and at 230 pounds, you're going to make me try and tackle him too. It's no easy task for any defense that has to go up against this rushing attack for sure.
Third down and 5 now here for Washington Township at the Passaic Tech 14-yard line. And we are greeted with penalty flags. It's going to be a false start penalty against the offense.
Dead ball, false start. Number 7 of Washington Township, 5-yard penalty, third down.
I know we live in the day and age of NIL with student athletes, but I think after this game, Fran Delaney might be able to cash in his name, image, and likeness.
Yeah, he's been all over the place. I'm kind of surprised though we haven't seen Township throw the ball a little bit more than they have today. Aquino's only 6 for 7. Not many attempts here in this one.
Third down and 11 after the penalty. Here is Aquino rolling the pocket, has a man in the back of the corner. That's hauled in. No sign. Touchdown, Washington Township, as he ran down the runway. And he might have just run his team into history. A touchdown there by Jair Moore. And there's that touchdown that might have sealed it.
Yeah, absolutely perfect pass here. And what a great catch and concentration by Moore. Aquino rolling out to his left, throws the ball up, lets his receiver run under it, and man, what a play. And that was a catch the whole way, and he runs up the tunnel at MetLife Stadium. What a memory for him. And like you said, he might have just launched himself into the Washington Township victory with that score there.
Could not throw a better ball there in the back left corner of the end zone. I think that would have been good on Sundays too, because it looked like he got 2 feet down, and then he pulled the old Bo Jackson of scoring the touchdown and then continuing his momentum right down the tunnel.
Yeah, what a catch there for Moore, and what a drive there for Washington Township offense. I was expecting to see some kind of a shot there. I didn't know when it was going to come, but he said Aquino is too talented of a quarterback to just let him hand the ball off the whole game, even though that's been successful too.
4th touchdown catch of the season for the senior wideout, and after Passaic Tech had held Washington Township in check offensively, keeping them at 3 points midway through the third quarter, the offensive floodgates have opened 3 consecutive touchdown drives Back-to-back touchdowns by Jalen Robinson, and now a perfectly thrown touchdown pass from Aquino, his 23rd touchdown throw of the year to Jair Moore. And this just shows you, with the fumble forced here, did Washington Township recover? And it looks like the way they're celebrating, they might have. And it is a forced fumble on the kickoff return.
Great play there. And that was, who was that? Number 42 on the tackle, forcing that is Dom Pitts, senior fullback or outside linebacker.
Officials timeout for injury.
Great job of getting down there on special teams and making your presence felt, forcing a big-time fumble and a big-time turnover for this Washington Township Minutemen team.
And this is just an unstoppable force right now in the Minutemen, as they have all the momentum in the world on their sideline. 7.5 minutes left to go, and when you're Coach Demarest and you're Passaic Tech, you kind of feel powerless at this point, that you just can't find a stop. You can't get out of your own way. And Washington Township, there's a reason why they're the second highest ranked public school in New Jersey and why they were 13-0 coming into today's game.
Yeah, sometimes there's just a power in football as a coach, and something takes over and you just can't stop it, and it's working well for Washington Township right now. And on the opposite sideline, Coach Demarest is wondering what the heck he can do to try and corral it.
First down and 10 as now they go back to the run game, and Colin Beeler. You felt early on the way that Washington Township opened this game that they were just a hot knife through butter in the first possession, and they got in their own way with the penalties, and they settled for the field goal. But then Passaic Tech did a great job at their game plan of just their long possession, limited the amount of touches that then Washington Township could even have on offense. So you look up at the scoreboard and you're saying, wow, that's the quickest first half ever, 6-3. Passaic Tech could never extend that lead, though, Andrew, and that's the problem for them.
Yeah, and as I know this Washington Township team, it's always been you never want to let them hang around, because they're so dangerous offensively and defensively, and they're just showing that. You're almost just waiting for that shoe to drop, and it did. And this is the Township team that I think most people who are familiar with them are used to seeing.
Beeler picks up just enough for a 3rd down and 1. You kind of felt that big sigh of relief after that first Jalen Robinson touchdown where he bounced off a pile of defenders and scampered his way into the end zone. It was like, okay, there we go. Things weren't bouncing our way. They just previously had a Beeler fumble the time before that. And then with that relief, they've just been playing loose since then. Here's another handoff to Robinson. He's looking for the hat trick here. Dives for the pylon. Touchdown. His 3rd score of the state championship here at MetLife. It's Jalen Robinson's world, and we're just living in it.
I keep on waiting for a cannon to go off, because the Township, they got a cannon every time they score a touchdown. But Robinson just taking this one and stiff arm there for good measure, and just dives into the end zone, and like you said, kind of Township just imposing their will right now, and Coach Demarest and that Passaic Tech team just looking for a way to slow it down a little bit here with 5 minutes and 53 seconds left in the ball game.
Extra point once again is good by Sheets. 3 touchdowns in this 4th quarter alone, and Washington Township is flexing its proverbial muscles here at MetLife, as they have now rattled off 28 unanswered points here, Andrew, since they were down 6-3 at halftime. It has just been a completely different story here in the second half, and this is the team that you've come to know and so many have seen throughout the course of this year that are trying to state their claim for not only state championship superiority, but also maybe recognition as being one of the top public schools, if not the top public school in New Jersey. I know we're going to start a whole fight with Winslow fans, but based on how mortal Winslow looked in their last game, a 14-12 win in the state semis, this is a whole different ballgame now with how Washington Township's been playing.
Yeah, we talked about it. I mean, that was almost another turnover there. I've talked about this with Coach Schatzman as well. Like, you talk about the superiority in New Jersey, and it's really tough to to compare the groups because of the depth of rosters, I guess, when it comes to Washington Township compared to a Winslow or a Cedar Creek or a Glassboro or something like that. If you wanted to play, did a hypothetical tournament of champions, that's what it comes down to. But just like I said, I was on the sideline for the game last week, doing some advanced scouting, and this Washington Township team is just one of the fastest, quickest, hardest hitting teams that I've seen in a high school in a long time.
They're 5:47 away from capturing their first ever Group 5 state championship. And now they are really starting to impose their will defensively. We've seen on the forced fumble on the kickoff, and now they're starting to take those gambles and lowering the boom for good measure. That pass was complete to Tyson Watkins, but things have gotten away here from Passaic Tech. A valiant effort. They got the exact type of first half they needed to stay in this game. They actually held a lead at halftime, but the offense just has run dry here in the second half. Miles will take it himself. Does a good job of maneuvering through that first wave, and now we'll move it past the 35-yard line. We'll be just shy of the first down line to get.
I really like this Miles kid, man. He's proven his worth here today for sure. He's battling. He's played really, extremely well up until this drive. I think he was 12 of 15 passing in this game, and it just says a lot for, his ability and his ability to make plays against a very, very tough defense.
3rd down and 3. Miles backpedaling, throws across the middle. That pass is complete. It looks like he's right at the line to get for a first down as he completes that to Joe Trinidad. Looking back on this and how this game has kind of gotten away from Passaic Tech, I think you could isolate it on that 1 4th down conversion where he wasn't on the same page. The one time in this game with his wide receiver Watkins, who ran to the inside, the pass went to the outside, and you just kind of felt like, oh, that's a missed opportunity, and Washington Township scored right after that. Here is Miles again. He is shifty down in the open field. Gabe Miles over 1,000 career rushing yards to go along with his passing exploits of over 3,100 passing yards coming into today's ball game. He's added to those totals with another touchdown pass through the air. Back into Washington Township territory with under 4 minutes left to go. Screen pass set up to the near side to Young. And Young is controlled here. Again, no real extra yardage to think of. It's just amazing the side-to-side speed that's on display by this defense.
Yeah, Washington Township is really known for their perimeter speed and their ability to get to the edge. But like you just mentioned, the missed opportunity on the 4th down, and you can kind of date this unraveling to that point. That was really their only drive where they were, in Washington Township territory in this second half, and it really has been a tale of two halves.
That pass is dropped across the middle. McDuffie was the one who got his mitts on it, but then it went in and out of his hands. And it's kind of like that's what happens when you go against these top teams. If you let them click and they start to be firing on all cylinders, it's tough to match up against them. And you see it almost in basketball with the amount of timeouts the coach will have to take to stop and stem that momentum. But this has just been unleashed, and there's been absolutely no answer for Passaic Tech. Miles will tuck it down and run with it, and again extend the play by throwing it down the field. But my goodness, every play is a jarring hit.
Yeah, and like I said, last week I noticed it firsthand. The fastest, hardest hitting team that I've seen so far this year, and that I've seen in a really long time. But to your point, it was really only a matter of time. Is Washington Township going to show up today, or are they not going to show up today? Because if they didn't show up, then Passaic Tech, really had the opportunity to potentially win that game, and that's what they did in the first half. Washington Township kind of made way too many mistakes, and Passaic Tech went into halftime with a lead. Now you come out of the second half, and like I said, it's night and day difference. And this is the real Washington Township team that we expect to see, and there's really been no answer.
Now, you've said you are close friends with Coach Schatzman, the head coach of Washington Township. You guys have had your teams compete together and with one another in the summers at camp. What is it about him that you feel like this team has taken on the identity of him and his coaching staff on the way to what looks to be a 14-0 season.
Coach Schatzman is Washington Township through and through. He's a Washington Township grad. He's an alum there. He's in the Athletic Hall of Fame there as a baseball player. But the way he
Timeout, Washington Township. It's their first of the second half.
The way he embodies the family culture at Washington Township and just, you know, he's got a roster of over 150 players, and people just want to be a part of it. The youth program is huge. The community is huge. He does a great job in the community with fundraising and just hosting different events and stuff. And, you know, happy for him. Congratulations with Washington Township early, because I imagine that's where this one's headed. But he just does a great job with his program and keeping the kids in town home.
They are 23-3 overall over the last 2 seasons. They had last season's campaign end in the state semifinal round. It was almost the idea of they were a year away, and they took on the Goliath, what was Toms River North. So it's almost fitting that it's kind of a changing of the guard this season, that the team that were runners-up in the semis last year now are taking that mantle, as once again it looks like it's going to be a champion from the South. It's been from the Shore Conference the last couple of years, but now it's going to be from South Jersey here in Group 5 in 2025.
It'll be interesting to see. I mean, like you said, it was kind of a changing of the guard, and they lost that tough game last year to Toms River North, but now it's up to they'll enjoy this one for a little bit, and then it's going to be up to Coach Schatzman and his staff to kind of get this team ready to go back again and see what they got coming back for next year. But the ability to have a roster that size and to keep those kids, you know, we live in a world where kids are going to go wherever they want to go for high school. To be able to keep the kids that live in town, in township, it's paramount.
And Gabe Miles playing down to that final whistle. Again, what a career he has had. What a difference he has made in coming to Passaic Tech and being a leader here. Again, leading this program to another appearance. They're going to come up short again for the 3rd time, but Coach Demers has built something pretty special at Passaic Tech. And like you said, in just convincing people to stay home and play in Passaic County and go to Passaic County Tech, he has built them into a serious Group 5 state power. As that pass attempt is bobbled and incomplete to the near side. That'll stop the clock with 2:18 left to go.
You could look down the roster of this Passaic Tech offense, and you see a lot of juniors and underclassmen. Obviously, you're going to have to replace guys like Young and Miles, which are going to be really, really difficult to do, but you got a lot of guys coming back next year, and you can make a real run at this thing again. If Coach Demers is able to reload this thing and get it going in the right direction, which I'm sure he will.
As Miles will roll the pocket to the far side, had an initial wide receiver open, elected to throw it up and over the defense, and that's a great decision on his part. Jose Trinidad getting that reception. I thought that it was going to be a drop-off there to D'Agostino, but Miles saw that there was an opening further down the field and wisely did that. It's going to be 1st and goal for Passaic Tech, looking for their 2nd touchdown of this state final.
Yeah, great job there by Miles not dropping it off. He might have seen that township defender just kind of sitting there and waiting if he was going to throw that ball underneath, but Trinidad, great job going up for it.
Miles fires that one, nearly intercepted on the near side. And if that was intercepted, that could have very well been a pick 6 as well. And that could have been then another defensive touchdown. Would have been the 8th defensive score of the season for Washington Township.
Yeah, Parker Reese wants that one back. Everybody wants to get their name in the stat book in the state championship game, especially, like you said, if he were to intercept that one, he would have been taking it to the house. But instead he gets a pass deflection out of it and a little bit longer time on the field.
After this one has concluded, we will have coverage of our 3rd state championship coming up afterwards, and that will be for the Group 3 state championship. Cedar Creek taking on Northern Valley Old Japan. All coming up next here on NJ.com. As rumbling his way into the end zone for a touchdown is Kadir Young, his 21st career touchdown and his 18th this season. And Young will cap off a brilliant career with another trip to the end zone.
That's one thing I was going to talk about is why I thought Washington Township was so successful in this game was the ability to bottle up Kadir Young and not let him get going. We talk about his, incredible numbers coming into this game, 1,500 yards rushing, 17 touchdowns. He's nice to see him finish off his high school career getting into the end zone here.
That stops the run of 28 unanswered points in this game for Washington Township. Now a 2-point try. It's going to be almost a basketball jump shot attempt of a pass, and that goes incomplete. A little pushing and shoving going on at the tail end of that conversion. As pointing to his ring finger, Andrew Osborne, as I just saw in that replay, as he knows what's coming up for him and his teammates. A championship ending to this campaign. With 2:01 left to go, and again, you just want cooler heads to prevail. This is where reality starts to set in for some guys, certainly for those who maybe be playing their last downs of football in their career.
Yeah, I just never got into the whole fighting thing on the field. Not a big fan of that. I hope, like you said, hopefully cooler heads can prevail as we wrap this one up, and everybody can just kind of go about their separate ways after a tough-fought game for both teams.
So it's going to make that drive back home a very enjoyable one on the team buses for Washington Township.
Yeah, probably take about...
I was going to say, what do you think with traffic?
I drove up here. I left my house at 6 o'clock this morning. It took me an hour and a half. So with, Black Friday traffic, I'm thinking maybe hour 45 to 2 hours.
As that one is a live ball, Washington Township kind of just let it go, thinking almost like it was a punt, but on a kickoff, everything is live. That would have been a possession for Passaic Tech if they had recovered it. And now the Minutemen will take over with 1:55 left to go. Still 2 timeouts for Passaic Tech, but I don't know if Coach Demarest will elect to take the timeouts if the decision is made to just kneel down here by Washington Township. But 14-0, what a run to history here. A team that has just blasted its way through the postseason. They had a couple close ones this season against Kingsway, but those were really the only true challenges on the season for this Minutemen side that made quick work of their opponents this year. Aquino will hand it off. And another gaping hole delivered by the offensive line, getting into the hands of Beeler, who will motion his way for a first down on the play. With under 2 minutes now left to go in regulation.
Yeah, and you mentioned the 2 Kingsway games. They seem to be the only the only team that can figure out this Washington Township program. Give a shout out to Coach Hendricks down there at his Kingsway program, but Washington Township, from top to bottom, special teams, offensively, defensively, just an absolute unit here.
The least amount of points they scored was a 21-10 win against Millville back on September 19th. Other than that, they've been living in the 30s and 40s all season long. Came into this game scoring 504 total points on the season. So they'll add 31 more points to that grand total. And as you mentioned, against Kingsway, 39-36 regular season showdown back on October 17th. They got Kingsway again in the state semifinal round, outlasted them 35-27. And again, it wasn't a romp here. I know the scoreboard is going to show one way, but it was a 6-3 Passaic Tech lead at halftime. But then the light switch was turned on in the second half, and we saw the best of Washington Township. And there was no one better than Washington Township in Group 5 football this season when they were playing at their best. Another handoff. And it's pretty simple to win games when you've got an unbelievably relentless defense and then a power run game that can just gash you with anybody.
Well, you got a power run game, you got speed run game, as Coach Chassman down there gets the Gatorade bath. Congratulations to him and the Washington Township team there. But those guys earned it. They, like you just said, they were the best team in Group 5 all year in the state and put their stamp on that today.
So the celebration has begun here for Washington Township, your 2025 Group 5 state champions, with an impressive second half performance. defeating Passaic Tech by a final score of 31-12. That will cap off a dream season for the Minutemen. Perfect 14-0 as they come calling here to MetLife, and they will leave with a championship trophy. And for Passaic Tech, a valiant effort, a great season, as the Bulldogs will finish as runners-up once again in Group 5, this time with the 10-4 season. Your final thoughts here, Andrew, from what you saw here today for Washington Township.
I just think that the score is not really indicative of the game that was played here today. Passaic Tech came out. They were ready to go. They had a good plan in place. They had a halftime lead. They just weren't able to continue that momentum. And like I said, the consistency of Washington Township, they were able to come out in the second half and make their presence felt, and they just didn't stop.
You could only hold Washington Township down for so long, and they erupted in the second half, keyed by Jalen Robinson, who scored 3 touchdowns on the ground here in this state final. So that'll do it for our broadcast coverage of our second state final here from MetLife Stadium, and we invite you to join us for our broadcast coverage of our upcoming game, which will be for the Group 3 state final featuring Cedar Creek and Northern Valley Old Tappan. So again, thanks for everybody tuning in to our NJ.com broadcast. We'd like to thank our broadcast director and Ben Talbot and the entire incredible crew. So for my broadcast partner, Andrew Daly, I'm Dan Long saying so long from MetLife Stadium. Congratulations to the 2025 Group 5 state champions, the Washington Township Minutemen. Take care, everybody.